Good evening, everyone. My name is Caleb Tysz.
And I'm Amanda Gorrin.
Last weekend, on March 28th, thousands of people came out into the streets to protest No Kings, an activist group dedicated to resisting President Trump and his administration's alleged overreach of the executive power. The specific focus of many of the protests was the war in Iran and President Trump's use of ICE. At one protest in Beacon, a local sixth grader spoke against ICE, stating, "One of my best friend's mother is an immigrant. Every time she doesn't show up for school, I'm scared that she will never show up for school." Congressman Pat Ryan was seen traveling between different protests to reiterate his support for the cause and his opposition to President Trump. In the Hudson Valley, there were over 30 different protests across the region, with one of them taking place just across Marist campus, up and down Route 9.
A Florida man is going viral after being mistaken for the late financier Jeffrey Epstein, and he says the internet has it all wrong. A silver-haired man who goes by Palm Beach Pete online became the center of social media frenzy after a TikTok video showed him driving a convertible on I-95. The clip racked up more than 10 million views, with the person filming shouting, "Epstein is alive." The resemblance sparked a wave of conspiracy-themed comments tapping into years of speculation surrounding Epstein's 2019 death. Pete says he had no idea he was being filmed. He later created an Instagram account called @not.epstein, where he addressed rumors head on. In his words, "I'm so not Jeffrey Epstein. I'm me being me." He added that Epstein was, quote, "a very bad person," and emphasized that Epstein is dead while he is very much alive. Photos and videos posted to Pete's new account show a man whose facial features and silver hair bear a striking similarity to Epstein, fueling even more online chatter. Some commenters joked about the resemblance, while others revived long-running conspiracy theories. Despite the attention, Pete insists it's all just a case of mistaken identity. He says he's simply Palm Beach Pete, planning to play tennis, head into town, and enjoy his day, not spark a global conspiracy. Now we turn it over to Kai with our science report.
Thanks, Amanda. Biologists at the University of Yamanashi in Kofu, Japan, have cloned a mouse's cells for 20 years, leading up to 58 generations. In a lab at the school, one mouse line kept coming back entirely too uncanny and nearly identical to its predecessor. Researchers began with a single female donor and used her cells to make a clone, then repeated the same process with the clone cells, and this continued again and again over 20 years. The work moved forward at a steady and measured pace. As each clone mouse reached around 3 months of age, the team collected donor cells and produced a next generation through nuclear transfer. This led to roughly 3 to 4 generations being produced each year, turning what was supposed to be a one-off experiment into a long-running test of whether mammal cloning could keep copying itself without a biological cost. In 2013, the first 25 generations of clone mice appeared healthy, and genetic warning signs were not clear yet. However, by the 27th generation, researchers reported that the birth rate in serial cloning began to decline, and the 58th generation was the last. By then, all 58 generation recloned mice passed. Teruhiko Wakayama, a developmental biologist at the University of Yamanashi and senior author of the study, said, "No one has ever continued to recloning for this long before. As a result, this is the first time we've discovered that repeated recloning eventually reaches its limits." The scale of the project also helps explain why the result carries weight. Over 1,200 clone mice were produced from a single original donor mouse, making this one of the longest and most exhaustive mouse cloning experiments on record. Genome sequencing showed that the damage was gradual from generation 1 to generation 57. The researchers identified about 3,700 single nucleoid variants. Wakayama said, "It was once believed that the clones were identical to the original, but it has become clear through this study that mutations occur at a rate 3 times higher than in offspring born through natural mating." From 2005 to now, this study reaffirms that the evolutionary inevitability that sexual reproduction is indispensable for the long-term survival of mammalian species.
Marist University has broken ground on its newest future dining option outside the steel plant. The patio behind the fashion building will have fire pits, fairy lights, and seasonal food options. Food will be provided by a rotating roster of food trucks, although the school has promised that the general theme will be Italian favorites, such as pizza and sandwiches. Construction is expected to be completed by late spring or early summer. Students will be able to pay via Den dollars through Grubhub or Marist Money. Student reactions have been mixed, with some excited for a more communal space and others concerned about the university's budget priorities.
NASA is gearing up for a historic return to deep space. Artemis II, the agency's first crewed lunar flyby in more than half a century, is scheduled to launch no earlier than April 1st, 2026. The 10-day mission will test every major system needed to send humans back to the moon. 4 astronauts will climb aboard the Orion spacecraft, launching atop NASA's powerful space launch system, the only rocket capable of sending crew and cargo to the moon in a single flight. Artemis II builds directly on the success of the uncrewed Artemis I mission in 2022. Once in space, the crew will travel farther from Earth than any human has been in more than 50 years. They'll work with scientists on a series of experiments designed to prepare for future lunar landings, including studies on how radiation and microgravity affect the human body. The mission's success will pave the way for Artemis III, which aims to land astronauts on the lunar surface for the first time since Apollo. NASA says Artemis II is a critical milestone in its long-term goal of establishing a sustainable human presence on the moon and eventually sending crews to Mars. Now over to Julia with the sports report.
Good evening, Poughkeepsie. This is Julia Peldunas with your sports news. Starting with college basketball, the road to the Final Four in the NCAA tournament has been nothing short of madness as we enter the semifinals this week. Multiple lower-seeded teams have made deep runs, busting brackets nationwide, while top programs continue battling for a title shot. Duke suffered a disappointing loss to UConn with 0.4 seconds left in the game, ending their run early and breaking the hearts of Duke fans once again. As of tonight, teams like UConn and Houston are emerging as favorites, but this tournament has proven anything but predictable. In Olympic news, excitement is building for the 2028 Summer Olympics, with ticket sales expected to begin at the beginning of April as organizers prepare for a massive global turnout. The Games are expected to feature over 30 sports and hundreds of events across the Los Angeles area, with a focus on existing venues and sustainability. Officials are urging fans to plan ahead and avoid unofficial resale markets as demand is expected to be extremely high. With Team USA competing on home soil, anticipation continues to grow. In baseball, the 2026 MLB season is officially underway after opening day began March 25th and continued through March 27th, with all 30 teams now in action. Early highlights include dominant pitching performances, top prospects making immediate impacts, and the Yankees and 4 other teams opening their season with a series sweep. Around the league, teams are already settling in as contenders and storylines begin to take shape just days into the new season. That's all for sports news tonight. Now back to the desk.
Marist University recently held its annual Day of Giving, 24 hours of fundraising events that involved dozens of organizations across campus. From student clubs to school offices, everyone pitched in and did their part to raise money for the school. There were many interactive ways provided to participate, from something as simple as donating on the school's website to something as complicated as participating in a campus-wide scavenger hunt for miniature red foxes. All told, the day raised almost $1.5 million for the school. Kevin Wyman stated his gratitude on Instagram. "The way this community shows up never ceases to amaze me. Thank you very much."
A major immigration showdown is heading to the Supreme Court this week. Justices will hear arguments over President Trump's executive order aimed at ending birthright citizenship for certain children born in the United States. The order, signed on the first day of his second term, would deny automatic citizenship to babies born to parents who are in the country unlawfully or only on temporary visas. The administration argues the 14th Amendment has been misinterpreted for decades, saying citizenship should apply only to those fully subject to U.S. political jurisdiction. Civil rights groups, including the ACLU, say the order is unconstitutional and warn it could destabilize the citizenship status of millions of Americans if the court upholds it. Lower courts have blocked the policy, but the Supreme Court agreed to take the case directly, bypassing the appeals process. This marks the first time the High Court will weigh the legality of one of President Trump's immigration directives in his second term. At the center of the debate is a landmark 1898 ruling, Wong Kim Ark, which affirmed that nearly all children born on U.S. soil are citizens, regardless of their parents' immigration status. The administration is asking the court to reinterpret that precedent, opponents saying doing so would remake the nation's constitutional foundations. A decision is expected by late June or early July, and depending on how the court rules, the implications could be sweeping, affecting voting rights, passports, and the legal status of millions. Now we'll hear from Pacyline with our entertainment report.
Good evening, MCTV News. I'm Pacyline Reinhardt with your entertainment report for the night. The Mormons are taking over yet again. Taylor Frankie Paul, the star of Mormon Mom Talk and The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, is facing domestic abuse charges after videos of her hitting, verbally assaulting, and throwing a chair at her ex-boyfriend, Dakota Mortensen, have surfaced. She was supposed to be the new star of The Bachelorette season 22, but ABC has since canceled the season due to the controversy surrounding Paul. While many are standing in support of her, there are serious worries that if she was comfortable abusing her ex, how comfortable would she be with abusing her children? In other exciting news, this Thursday, April 2nd, is the premiere of XO Kitty Season 3 on Netflix. The story follows Kitty Song-Covey as she navigates college applications and life as an American in Korea. She will also be facing the inevitable "what are we" conversation with the boy she is in love with. And while all of that is very exciting, we will also get to see the return of Lana Condor as Lara Jean, something many fans are very excited for. It is also a big week for dark comedy and drama lovers with the release of The Drama, starring Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. The film follows a couple planning their wedding and navigating life after Zendaya's character, Emma, reveals a dark secret to her fiancé and close friends, causing their lives to shift drastically. If you want to know the big secret, you'll just have to watch and find out. There's also quite some drama in the sports world as Tiger Woods was released from prison this past weekend. The professional golf player who has earned the title of the best pro golfer in history, he was arrested over the weekend for driving under the influence and has now made statements saying he will continue to drive himself places despite having been arrested twice now for the exact same issue and being involved in one car crash due to once again being under the influence. While the drama is amazing, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift shared a wholesome moment last weekend at the iHeartRadio Music Awards. Taylor won Pop Album of the Year, and during her speech, she thanked many people, including her fiancé, saying that he makes her feel feminine and free. While the speech was cute, there was a clip of them standing together, looking like they barely knew each other. Twitter went wild, with one commentator saying, quote, "the chemistry of cousins who see each other once a year." I hate to say it, but they did look very awkward. Last but not least, Holly Black, author of the New York Times best-selling trilogy, The Cruel Prince, has announced the release of a new book. The novel will be a short story collection narrated by fan favorites like Carden and Maddock. The novel is set to hit shelves on November 3rd, 2026. That's all I have for you tonight. Back over to the desk.
Thanks, Pacyline.
Bobby Saville, and your riddle of the day is: feed me and I live, give me a drink and I die. What am I? Your time is up. The answer is a fire. That's all for today. Thank you.
Thanks, Bobby. That's all we have for tonight. I'm Caleb Tysz.
And I'm Amanda Gorrin.
And this is MCTV News.